Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator, and I'm coming to you guys with a new Whack and Atheist stream. I know it's been a while, so today we're going to be looking at Kent, and he's taking on genetically modified skeptic, even though at no point in the video does he show any video clips from his channel. He just kind of introduces him and then goes through his script about stellar evolution. So I have my co-host with me, Mr. Ayden. Let me get him on the screen.
Hey, people.
Yeah, all right. Ayden, why don't you take a moment to just introduce yourself and say some things, and then we'll get started. I think we know the drill by now. Love you, by the way.
Aw, thank you, AJ. You gotta stop making me blush on the stream, all right? I gotta put that in our contract. Only one per stream, all right? That's gonna be coming up in the future. No, but if you've seen one Kent Hovind Whack an Atheist, then you would think that you've seen them all. But this is your first one with me running commentary with AJ. So at the very least, Kent can't be unique to save his life, but we can be unique for him. So with that being said, let's take it away and let's get into this Whack an Atheist.
Yeah, and I will say that I was gonna have Leo Filius on here. If he shows up, then I'm more than happy to add him. But all right, let's get started. Oh, where's this? But so this is the first time you've been on one of my Whack an Atheist streams. Is that what you're saying, Ayden?
That's right, yeah, and it's the first time I've ever done a Whack an Atheist, so I'm quite looking forward to it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, these are some of my my bigger videos, so yeah, let's do it.
Who gets whacked first? The winner tonight, Drew McCoy, genetically modified skeptic.
And we're already on Posy roll
on Wikitubia. What is Wikitubia now? That's just what we need. Another
instrument.
Like
a tuba?
You want a tuba? Well, maybe we get a tuba every single time that Stephen Bolin walks by. Hovind.
Okay, let's see. He's about 30 years old. Actually, 30 years old.
Too old for me.
Known online as genetically modified skeptic. American atheist YouTuber who makes videos about atheism, responds to religious videos, and has criticized alternative medicine.
None of which I'm actually going to show.
Okay. Drew was raised in an independent fundamental Baptist community.
We're not a chicken.
Videos, he said one time.
Damn it, AJ! You supplanted my joke. I was about to say that's where the real schism between Kent and this gentleman comes from. Is that he comes from an independent fundamentalist Baptist community, and Kent comes from an independent chicken-eating fundamentalist Baptist community. So really, if he doesn't eat the chicken, then he's got to go. So all this atheism stuff, it's all just a sham to cover up the real hatred that Kent holds in his heart for not eating the dinosaur.
Well, I think my favorite is the independent fundamental Baptist redacted community.
yeah, that one's my favorite too.
Yeah.
Strongly believed in the precepts such as young earth creationism and biblical inerrancy. What he used to believe. He has a degree in psychology. That'll ruin anybody. Counseling at a religious school.
What?
I originally planned to become a professional counselor.
Okay.
Drew then moved to Utah to work with someone he already knew there, to use his influence to convert Mormon patients. He left Christianity after getting a bachelor's degree. This story can be told thousands of times. Professors seem to delight in destroying a person's faith in their class.
Hold on.
In the summer of 20...
No, that's actually a way better point to pause than where I asked you to pause. I mean, why do you think that is, Ken? Why do you think when people remove themselves from these tiny little cloistered off echo chambers that you subject them to all the time, this isolated out in the sticks little park where barely anybody out there even exists, let alone will even know who you are. Yeah, let's get you cloistered off over there where you can learn the truth. Meanwhile, people that get sent to academic institutions where ideas are challenged openly, and you have a huge marketplace of ideas, all of which are for sale constantly. and available for anyone to look into, whether or not they think they're valid. I wonder why yours are always the ones that are never selling there, Kent. Maybe it's because when your ideas have to compete with other ones, they fall flat on their face.
Cloister, I thought that was a Pokemon. I want to be the very best, like no one ever was.
I want to get...
To train them is my cause.
He's going to get as many wives as Ash had Pokemon by the end,
Yeah.
I swear.
Gotta punch them all.
Gotta punch him. Pokemon.
2014, you took an astronomy class and learned how the age of the universe is measured. Really, Drew, we're going to talk about that tonight, just for you, okay?
Just for you.
Not long after this, his family began using and promoting essential oils. He then took a class in statistics and scientific research. He began to question the efficacy of essential oils in mid-2015.
Based.
He took a master's level course in human sexuality, which caused him to question some aspects of his religion and become interested in science, including evolution, which he still denied at the time. After honest inquiry, he understood and accepted evolution. By 2016, he decided he no longer had reason to believe in any gods, but didn't and still doesn't definitely assert their non-existence. Well, Drew, if you claim the name atheist, that is asserting their non-existence, okay?
Nope.
Agnostic would be, I don't know, okay? Drew's earliest videos covered topics like...
Yeah, so agnosticism and atheism are not mutually exclusive with one another. The only thing that atheism states is that there's insufficient evidence for someone to believe in God. That's the if, and but of all of atheism. There's nothing else attached to it. You could be almost anything else as long as it doesn't ascribe a religious belief and also an atheist. So you could be, I mean, there's not a lot of them out there, but you could be a Gnostic atheist, quote unquote, and say, there's no evidence whatsoever that there's a God, therefore there cannot be a God. There's no possibility of a God existing whatsoever. But those people are so incredibly rare that I feel like you would have a better chance of coming across an honest Kent Hovind argument than coming across somebody like that.
Yeah. This is, I think it's just a classic shifting of the burden of proof, because really atheism is a rejection, or, saying that I'm unconvinced by the positive religious claims that are made by theists like Kent or any, Christian, but really you have, apologists or people who do apologetics who are, promoting these beliefs and doctrines in a way where, they want to engage in debates with counter-apologetics people like you and me. And so atheism or atheists are just saying, well, okay, so you got a book and it says that there was a talking snake and a talking donkey, and there was a bunch of bears that attacked children and mauled them because they called some guy bald. And then, it says that if a woman gets sexually assaulted, but she doesn't cry out loud enough for the other townspeople to hear her, she's probably a liar. And just a bunch of other like fantastical things. And just, the fact that we know that if you die, you can't come back to life 3 days later. You just can't. So like that, I mean, that kind of just invalidates the whole thing. And so I'm rejecting that claim, which is the fundamental, like foundational claim of Christianity, is the risen person of Jesus Christ. And so it's not a belief like he's saying. And then you have agnostics who simply don't know that they're atheists. Not yet. Don't know.
Alternative medicine and science denialism. On 2017, he uploaded his first atheist video. Is atheism prideful? He continued to focus on both atheism and alternative medicine. He collaborated with Rationality Rules and Cosmic Skeptic on atheism. He traveled to Israel and Palestine for a 3-video series. First video, asking Palestinians what they think about atheists, was uploaded in 2019.
Asking Palestinians, not...
Yeah. Asking Palestinians, what do you think, state of Palestine, on the state of... like, what?
Well, what do you think, the one state of Palestine? What do you think, other one state of Palestine?
Interviews like the 3 square inches of land that Israel hasn't taken yet to see what its opinion is. Yeah. All right. Sounds good, yeah.
It's like, hey, a burning corpse. What do you think about that? How cool is that, though, that as an atheist content creator, he actually went to Israel and made content. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's, I think, a real devotion to, like, you don't see that from most channels. You know what I mean?
No, it's a devotion to your craft, absolutely. A devotion that Kent would never express. I mean, Kent doesn't want to leave his little facility, because if he leaves his facility, then he immediately becomes anything but the center of attention now. Like, it's no coincidence that at the same time that Kent Hovind stopped giving all of these tours all over the country and speaking at all these seminars like 20 or 30 years ago, that he also just basically kept himself in this ivory tower of either the Pensacola or the Lennox DAL compounds, and really doesn't venture out of them all that much, except to go and, there's the local Chinese restaurant. Oh yeah, that's just the same as going on stage with 400 or 500 people watching me, Hovind.
I mean, there's an audience when I, hit that buffet.
Every time I make a scene over the fact that the Mugu Gai Pan isn't made the way I want to, I hope I get the same audience I do at those lecture halls, Hovind. Let's keep going.
Okay. Calmly destroying Christian apologetics with science for an hour. Okay.
Apologists.
430,000 views. 3 Christian teachings that made me leave the church. 300,000 people watch it. Should I be?
I'm sorry, Kent, are you slightly envious of these view counts?
Yeah. These view counts are about the same as your artificially inflated channel had subs, Kent. When was the last time you had a video with anywhere near this amount of views?
Yeah, like, his old channel had, like, this many subs, but the view counts were still, like, not that much different than mine are now. And that's how, like, Kent's new channel has 20,000 subs. And again, his views are, not great. You know what I mean? And it's funny because during the Mandisa debate, he was, for some reason, like, he brought up, our channel gets thousands of viewers, like, oh, good for you, Kent. I mean, thousands of Hovind fans and a lot of hate watchers too. I mean, I'm probably half of those views, and Big Bad Mom is the other half.
I mean, like, it's a tiny fraction of the influence that he used to have, and he'll never bring that up, right? He'll never mention the fact that, I used to actually be like somebody that, 1 or 2 people out on the street might have been able to know my name if you asked them what their name is. And now I can't even be recognized by half the people who used to be my followers anymore. How's that go?
It's a nice thumbnail, by the way.
Angry? Being a nice atheist is annoying. The realization that shattered my faith. I listened to 3 or 4 of his sermons, whatever you call them, today.
We won't see any of these video clips, but we'll see the thumbnails.
I'll certainly reference them, and you can take my word for them.
Well, you see, I'm not going to show any of the videos, but I did highlight the titles in a red box. Hovind. Box. Hey, it kind of looks like my harmonica.
Boxfund.
I'll box you one.
More and back. I listened to that one, by the way. Christians will be a minority by...
Kent has a really funny comment coming up. Not funny, but as funny as in, haha, are you trying to get banned again, Hovind?
in 2060. Okay? Why I love Jesus, but I won't follow him. Leaving Christianity together. What's it like to leave evangelical Christianity as a married couple? I left evangelical Christianity 5 years ago. Here's what I'm still going on doing. Okay. Atheist inside the ark. Apparently he went up there with a mask on. Stopping a virus with that mask is like trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence. Okay.
Okay. First off, when I first heard this, I thought he said mascot. I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, he went up to the ark encounter with Tony the Tiger.
It's far too wholesome for something like Ken Hovind to acknowledge. No, he needs to make sure that he turns it into something vitriolic.
Yeah, but Kent actually said, mask on, mask on, mask off, over the future. Fuck it, mask off. It's not like that, Kent, because the analogy that you're giving is like as if the particles of the COVID-19 are just simply by themselves and they're airborne and they are smaller than the millimeter size that those masks are rated for. The particles, yeah, but the thing is that COVID particles don't just freely float in the air. They're attached to droplets of saliva and mucus and other fun bodily fluids that you could list off. So that being entrapped in those liquid droplets, it does mean that they're too big to fit through the mask. So it's like, oh, well, if the mosquitoes were in giant globs of Jello or encased in baseballs, then my analogy would work, except they wouldn't be able to get through the fence, Kent. So, and again, are you trying to get your channel deleted?
Not just that, but I mean, like, it figures for Kent because he's so narcissistic that he couldn't even look past his own nose, even if he wasn't wearing a mask, let alone, but like the fact of the matter is that Kent, these masks aren't there to protect you. They're meant to protect other people so that if you cough and start getting all of your bodily fluids all over the place in the middle of a global pandemic, that kind of gets as contained as possible into your area. But I guess you're part of the group of people that threw a mass temper tantrum over having to levy a basic social service upon your society.
Yeah.
Story. Okay. I did one. Drew is brainwashed.
Dang. Okay. First off, I can see, genetically modified skeptic. He's something special about him and his content. I don't know. He's a great speaker. And I think his story is really interesting. So I can see why he has sort of blown up. But these thumbnails are really great. And this is crazy to me. 1.6 million views on a Hovind response video. Like, that's really good. Like,
well, it is, but it's clearly, I mean, yeah, the thumbnail will do a lot of the work of trying to get new people who haven't heard him before in the door and listening to him. But I have no doubt in my mind, if you look at the engagement of that video, that people have watched it quite a long amount. I mean, like Kent himself, through this thumbnail screenshot, watched at least a little bit over half of the video himself before he took this. So obviously people are engaging with it as content and not just watching it for the sake of trying to leave some sort of vague support like you ask your fan base to do. Like, how engaged is your actual fan base with your content, Ken? I really don't think that if you went and looked, even just a few years back compared to now, that you'd find that your fan base is doing anything but slowly becoming more and more and more alienated from you.
Yeah, or just fragmented. Because one thing I noticed is that if you go to Ken Hovind's channel, or at least when I go, if you look in his comment section or in his side chat, it's always comments from people I've never seen the username before. But if you look at my side chat now or my comment section, I have the same group of people commenting, and I do tend to have new subscribers and new viewers on videos, but I have a lot of the same subscribers who were my first 25 or first 100 subs, and they still are coming back, and that's because I've tried to foster that community and engage with them and keep them around. I also haven't had my channel deleted twice, which just destroys your community, because there's always going to be people who just don't go to the new channel for whatever reason.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were followers insofar as, a Kent Hovind video popped up on my feed twice a year. I guess I'll click that and watch it. And now all of a sudden those people are gone. And that represented over 90% of your fan base. Don't get me wrong, your channel, it's undeniable. Kent's channel is bigger than most of your average everyday YouTube channels, but those average everyday people don't have 30 years of back catalog of them being somebody that was way more recognizable to your average person. So I think you have to kind of put it into perspective a little bit. Obviously, no one's going to go around claiming he's a household name or anything like that.
Oh, a household name? Like Ken?
Yeah. No one's going to claim that, but in the same time, he is somebody that way more people just 20 or 30 years ago knew about than they did now. That's just an undeniable fact.
Yeah. Fun Bob.
I don't know when that was, a long time ago, 4 years ago. And he responded. What would it take?
Oh, Ken, you seem like you didn't read the view count on that one.
Yeah.
Your boy. Oh, nice chin.
To convert me back to Christianity. Less than you think. Really.
Literally any evidence for God, you know what I mean? They say extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. How about any amount of evidence at all? How are we supposed to?
Yeah, seriously, just any hardline evidence that can be proven in a laboratory setting, that'd be a really good basis to kind of launch your claims off of. But I love this response, that quote unquote response that Kent is doing right now. He's not actually addressing these videos. He's just going, oh, less than you think, really? Oh, how about that? Like, he's just trying to be so aloof and snide and just, oh, I'm not even going to watch any of the content of these videos. That's well above me. Never mind the one that I watched half of.
Right? Yeah, I mean, sure, it shows exactly how much of it I've watched, but, you know, I don't need to watch it. I absorb it by Hovind osmosis. It's a good movie.
We'll watch some of his stuff here tonight, but the Bible says, beware lest any man spoil you with your philosophy and vain deceit. I think Drew got spoiled. The Bible says, the parable, the seed of the word, is the word of God. They receive the word with joy and have no root, and for a while believe, and in time of temptation they fall away. Now, Drew said one of the things that bothered him was essential oils. I don't use essential oils. I don't know anything about essential oils. I don't promote them. I don't sell them. But there are people who really go crazy over this. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I don't know. But that made Drew upset because his family got into this. Essential oils will heal everything. I don't know. I think God made us to eat vitamins and minerals and fruit of the ground to heal everything.
Okay, vitamins and minerals in the fruit of the ground. Okay, so what combination of vitamins and minerals in the fruit of the ground will cure smallpox?
Yeah, right. I've got my baby's got mumps. Can you get me some of that tea tree oil? It'll cure them right up. No, it's not going to work, Martha. I'm sorry. Your kid needs actual medical treatment. They need to get taken to a building where people that have actually gone to school to figure these things out can actually treat them effectively. Children tend to have a higher survival rate with that rather than, I threw some oil on them and what done prayed.
Yeah, and you know, Kent has obviously been notorious for promoting apricot seeds as a laetrile as a cure for cancer, and so much to the fact that his own son-in-law, who Marlissa, his daughter Marlissa, he named his daughter Marlissa, not Marissa, not Melissa, Marlissa, because he wanted her to be a boy and have a name like Martin or something. So he's like, oh, I'm just going to name her Marlissa. It's like, it's not in any baby book name, but I'm just going to coin it. Just going to mint that. Marlissa's husband had cancer, and they went to Mexico to get a laetrile treatment because, you know, it's not considered, I don't know if it's illegal in the United States, but it's certainly like you can't go to like a doctor who's going to like prescribe that to you, but they have those type of places in Mexico. And I'm assuming that this was on the recommendation of Kent, and the guy died of his cancer. And all that taking apricot seeds will do is give you cyanide poisoning while you die. You know what I mean? So it's just gonna make things worse.
Yeah, it's not very effective as a treatment last I checked, but that's all right. I mean, at the same time, you know, maybe the United States mint is nothing but a bunch of hooey, but if you actually take mint the plant and you put it through a press and then you just like throw it on somebody, then let me tell you, that cancer will get cured right up, honk honk.
This is a great comment from Peter. Modern said, which fruits from the ground produce snake antivenom?
That's a good question for Kent. I'm sure Kent would love to answer that question if you asked Kent that in person. I'm sure he wouldn't have any venom of his own to respond to that with.
And then we have essential oils, essential Hovinds.
That's right. You better believe it.
Yeah. I mean, Kent very much could have died from that snake bite. You know, it is, if he would have waited to go to the hospital, you know, because you know what I say is that, you know, these men today, they're snowflakes and they're beta males. You know, they you know, like they don't want to go to the doctor. It's like back in my day, you know, we were real men. We just died. You know.
Didn't someone try like sucking the poison out first before he went to the hospital?
I don't think so, but he did. I think that I think he had his keychain like zapper, which I'm sure did nothing, because Kent has this weird belief that if you get bitten by a snake, a venomous snake, although he always says, oh, you're bitten by a poisonous snake, even though that's a very common, misconception. Which
I taught high school science for 15 years, but let me just get a misconception that a literal second grader gets corrected on. Honk honk.
Hiss hiss.
Yes.
Yep, I'm totally derailed.
That's all right. That's all right. I don't think that there was much of a rail to be derailed from. I mean, Kent's literally just talking about something that's totally apropos of nothing insofar as the main topic of this discussion is concerned. He's supposed to be talking about cosmology right now, and he's got a bunch of stock images that I would expect my grandmother to have pulled up right now while she's perusing what she should buy next for her vaporizer or whatever the hell those things are. Dude, I'll give you this. All right, if you want essential oils because they smell good and because, they just kind of like give off a nice vibe, as the kids done do say, in your environment, then okay, that's cool. That's fine. But if you're trying to act like they do much more of anything beyond that, then I want to see some data. I know that's a crazy claim on my end, but I want to see some actual data that's accredited to people that are in the pharmaceutical industry that develop that anti-venom that Kent just kind of takes advantage of, but whatever. We can move on.
Actually, Ayden, it's not a vaporizer, it's an oil diffuser, so get it right.
I'm sorry. I didn't get my terminology correct.
But anyway, so Drew, there's only two options to explain how we got here. Somebody made the world, or the world made itself.
That's not a false dichotomy.
I thought of a third option.
Okay.
If some,
yeah, that is a false dichotomy because it's such a. It's such a. No, it's all good.
Okay.
It's such a drastic oversimplification of what's being discussed that it's basically useless as far as conveying any kind of ideas are concerned. The world made itself, because if you just say that to a lay person, the world made itself, they're just going to have this mental image of all the components of our current Earth floating in space and somehow assembling themselves together like the beginning of the THX intro or whatever. No, it's not how that works, Kent. All right, the Earth has gone through a myriad of different stages of change throughout its history. It's never been in this one static state that you like to pretend that it is post-flood. I guess you like to pretend like it's in a steady state selectively, because sometimes the Earth is getting better in some regards, but most of the time for you, the Earth is getting worse. The moon's drifting away. It's going to be, oh my gosh, it's going to enter Jupiter's orbit any day now. Meanwhile, it's drifting away at a quarter of an inch every year or something like that. It's absolutely ridiculous, but yeah, the world did not make itself in the way that Kent's describing it here. A myriad of different processes came together to form the solar system as we know it right now, give rise to Earth as we know it today, and give rise to the conditions on the Earth that we just kind of take for granted of right now. So all that explanation I know took a while, but that's what Kent relies upon. He relies upon putting out an incredibly simple premise that oversimplifies his opponent's explanation, so his opponent has to waste a bunch of time unpacking the very basics of what they believe, because his opponents understand what Kent believes. His opponents never have to make Kent waste half of his debate time or half of his lecture time unpacking what Christianity is or who Jesus is or what he did for them or anything of that nature, because they have the good faith and good intellectual honesty to realize that that's not how you ought to conduct yourself when you're trying to exchange ideas. But Kent relies upon throwing as many stumbling blocks in your way as possible.
Yeah, Kent really treats everything as a la carte. The science that he believes and the Christianity that he thinks is literal from the Bible, or the doctrines he thinks are literal, and the elements of Christianity that he wants to pick and choose to use or ignore in his life. And I just like how Kent says things like, with the moon, the lunar recession, he says, oh, the moon is leaving us. Well, run the clock back. That means it used to be closer. But it's this is the same person who says that, the Big Bang Theory is wrong. But, redshift is true. It's okay, Kent, well, the galaxies are all expanding outward. The universe is expanding. We'll run the clock back, and they would have all gotten closer until they coalesce into a single point. But
so you're just saying that you came from a dot of nothing. That's what you're trying to say, AJ. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, it makes sense, because you can have a dot, which is a physical thing made up of nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, now he says near nothing. Oh, okay, near nothing. Near. Oh.
Someone made the world. It's logical. He did it for a reason.
Oh, and
You're out of nothing that came from your wet desert. It's like, what?
as for the world making itself, like I'm just picturing like an anthropomorphized Earth that like has arms and it's just like covered in water, and you just see it pulling like continents from its back. Like, let me put this here. Here's Africa, and I'm gonna make myself. How can something make itself? It's because that means it would have to exist in the first place in order to make itself, but that doesn't make sense. It's completely contradictory, and this is just an obvious false dichotomy. Obviously, there are other options, and someone, as in like a person or like a deity, like a sky daddy with a beard and like a robe, and like does he have underwear under the robe? I don't know. Who's gonna enforce that? You know what I mean?
Nobody. I mean, he could do whatever the hell he wants, right?
Well, I said this on my community tab. If God made man in his image, then it follows that God is uncircumcised. Just saying.
No, he has to be. I mean, it makes no sense why he would include something on him that he would like. What did he circumcise himself at the very beginning? It's a good question. It's a good statement. It's a good.
Yeah,
statement.
I mean,
but just one more thing before we move on.
Yeah.
The most elaboration that Kent will go into on his position, which being the first one there, someone made the world, is, oh, well, the God of the Bible made the world. And the reason I know that is because this book said so. Mm-hmm. Whereas the world made itself, quote unquote, goes into an incredibly elaborate amount of detail in explaining how the Earth got to be in the state that it is now, explaining the previous things that we find archaeologically speaking of our previous civilizations, anthropologically speaking, also, though, in terms of ancient geological data, many times older than us as a species. All of that can be explained with the world made itself. You just need a little bit more time and a little bit more nuance and intellectual honesty to explain it.
A little less conversation and more Hovind.
It's true.
I believe God did it. And maybe he would
want conversation,
want us to know, like maybe writing a book, and he would be sure to preserve that.
He didn't write a book.
I believe God made the world, and he owns it. And
okay, pause. If God didn't write a book, he inspired men to write a book.
Yeah, Kent suddenly becomes a Muslim at will, where all of a sudden he acts like God himself just came down and was like, yes, I'm going to put in this book that I am an unerrant, unstoppable force, but these guys had chariots of iron, therefore I couldn't do shit. It's like, what?
Yeah, well, apparently Yahweh can come down and he can inscribe the 10 Commandments on stone with his finger. He wrote on a rock with his cock. But those broke before anybody else could see them. Moses had them, even though there's no evidence for historical Moses. But the Bible, the actual holy book, or the two holy books that they stapled together, he had to have humans write those. And he says that he's preserved the book. Then how is it preserved if we don't have the complete Dead Sea Scrolls? How is it preserved if there's different versions of the Bible? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like he's a hardline KJV onlyist, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because he tries to act like KJV is the closest you're going to get to the original word as written down in ancient Israel. Meanwhile, when you actually look into the history of the King James Version, you're still 1,600 years removed from the actual events in question. You're reading a book that was translated from Hebrew or Septuagint Greek to Latin, which then was translated into Vulgar Latin, which would have been the later Romance languages that directly preceded Latin from the areas that the Romans occupied in England. And then you'd have that into Old English, and then into Middle English, which is the King James Version. And then it can go even further into modern English for some of the other more modern ones like the NASB and all of that crap. I know Hovind doesn't take that extra step. But either way, you've got like a translation of a translation of a translation at the very least of things. And you're really going to tell me not one single thing was made wrong and all those different translate. We had a perfect game of telephone.
Yeah.
Right? I know that you can literally gather up a few children and give them like a 10-word sentence, and by the time it gets around that group of children, it sounds like utter gobbledygook, like it came out of DVD number 5. But look, at the same time, the Bible didn't get that. Why? Because Magic Man. That's why. Shut up.
Magic Man. You know, it's like you have, you know, the famous verse in Genesis 1:1. It's like, and in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Purple monkey dishwasher.
All right, let's keep going.
He makes the
Let's
rules.
chat more over.
We'll all face him one day and give an accounting for our lives. So, 2 choices. Somebody made the world, or the world made itself. Drew, you don't believe God made the world, so you have to be in choice 2. Unless you're one of those from Berkeley where Paul went. We're not really here at all. We just think we're here. Right?
Can you disprove that, Kent? I mean, do you not think that you're here? I think I'm here.
I mean, like, he's totally misrepresenting this as well. Like, yeah, there's some academics that'll posit that as like a hypothetical, but it's mainly just a thought experiment in philosophy to get you outside of your own, as much as possible, get you outside of your own ego for a moment and try to take a look at the world around you from as detached a perspective as you can afford yourself. Like, I know that that's a challenging thing for such a narcissistic piece of shit like you to do, Kent, but people are in fact capable of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the graphic of this young woman who is literally so high that she is in a void of psychedelic colors.
Yeah.
Just has a sign, and her thoughts are literally being written into the sky above her. And that's.
This is like something I would expect my grandpa to be reading in like the fucking Daily Telegraph or something like that. Oh yeah, these kids these days, they don't know nothing. Like, that's the demographic you're appealing to right now, Kent. I wonder why your audience is shrinking.
I don't know. I feel like I'd rather hang out with this person than Kent.
Right.
Look at Kent's face.
I feel like this person, if I had a conversation with, like, I might actually learn something from them. And they might actually learn something from me, and we might actually have like a dialogue. Whereas Kent, I feel like my brain would shrink as fast as his disgusting turkey neck seems to grow.
Oh, right. You shouldn't mention turkeys around me. But this woman seems to have some childbearing hips, although I'm just curious about where her vagina is located.
Yeah, seriously. It's all legs. And I know that appeals to some people, but I prefer the leg to end somewhere, you know?
Some of them out there, aren't there, Paul? Yeah. How long did you live out there in Berkeley? 5 years. I was in Fairfield up the road for 3 years. Well, okay.
Stayed there.
Those who believe the world made itself need to explain lots of things of how this happened. But the main ingredient they always rely on is time, billions of years. And that's Drew's big problem. He thinks starlight proves the universe is billions of years old. That's his main problem. That's from what I saw listening to 4 or 5 of his tapes.
Tapes. God.
Today we will begin to pull out the pacifier and show how deep time is not available to them.
Pacifier.
You know, at least in Star Wars, you know, when they begin it with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So when they talk about, you do not have the power to conjure up the stolen data tapes, you know, you can kind of like suspend your disbelief a bit because it's make-believe land and none of it's actually happening. Kent, you're in reality right now. We're like 50 years removed from that being a thing, and you just refuse to actually adapt or move forward in any way, shape, or form. It's really quite disconcerting.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I just got out of jail, and you know they got the new toilet, and they added the flush thing on there, and they just invented electricity, and you know they invented the wheel and fire. Fire bad. Hovind caveman.
In this series, which is my video number 1, how to prove the Earth cannot be billions of years old. Get seminar part 1, $50 for the whole thing.
And nothing has changed scientifically between when you made that and right now, Kent. Nothing. I mean, like, let's just grant Kent. I mean, like, more than anybody else has ever granted him. This is how far you can go in granting Kent something and him still be wrong. You could say that Kent was dead right in every single claim that he made in that video or that tape because that genuinely was made so long ago that he probably genuinely is holding a VCR cassette tape in his hands right now. That, I'm pretty sure, would be seen as a little outdated in the scientific community. The data that you were refuting, or lack of data that you're refuting, you're probably refuting it about as much as you're refuting your opponent's arguments in this video. But suffice it to say, it still, with all of that in mind, falls apart under the basic notion that science isn't dogmatic. It changes constantly, and we've gotten access to way better data since that point in time. Oh no, where'd the video go? There it is.
No, I'm making a comparison here because we have Kent's DVD series for $50, and you can get and that's a DVD. And just as a point of comparison, you can get the complete 8th season of Game of Thrones on Blu-ray. It's on sale. The original price was $45. So, you know, I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to watch this season of Game of Thrones. But just saying, you know, and then you can literally get the full series, seasons 1 through 8, for about $100, where Hovind charges $100 for a flash drive with his slides on it. That's like, you're ripping people off, Kent. Those are PowerPoint slides. They're not worth that much money.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's the same price. $40 is the same price. I mean, his DVD is $10 more than that, but that's the same price as his cockamamie documentary that he's got put out there, where you literally get access to 4 hours and 19 minutes of extremely poorly edited nonsense for the same price.
Yeah, $40 for the uncondoning of Kent Hovind, and it's a poorly made documentary that's full of lies. That's a plug for my video, which in itself is creeping up on 3,000 views, which is way more than all the combined uploads of that crappy documentary have. Because Stephen Bolin, who stole my thumbnail, by the way, for that video series. I'm convinced, you can't convince me that he didn't steal my thumbnail. That documentary is bad, and nobody should pay money for that. I almost want a physical copy of it just for posterity. Because who knows, maybe it could become valuable one day, you know, when we're all living in the Fallout style nuclear apocalypse, and, you know, currency becomes something totally like different.
I'll tell you what, I would put that on for a good laugh if, like, my family was just, like, obliterated in the nuclear holocaust, and I was just alone in the bunker crying my eyes out, wondering how I'm going to get my next meal, and then I saw the unmasking of Ken Hovind sitting on the shelf. I'd be like, man, life ain't so bad, you know? At least I got this to laugh at.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I can watch part 1, and then I can fend off the rat roaches and scorpions, and then I can load up part 2.
I can drag the irradiated feral ghoul in here and teach him how evolution is a lie, and then I can send him out to teach the other ghouls.
Yeah.
But Walter Staub, I believe is how you pronounce that, said in the chat. But Ayden, when I was a kid, 1 + 1 is 2, and today it is still true. It is still 2. That is correct. But I think that you ought to probably rethink the fact that in that comment, you're trying to defend somebody who claimed to be a high school science teacher for 15 years and doesn't know that a snake bite is not poisonous, but it's venomous. So, I mean, hey, if you want to give me 2nd grade math questions, just consider the fact that your progeny gets 2nd grade biology wrong on a daily basis.
Yeah, and, you know, Kent claims he taught physics, and he also, you know, he says that 1 drop of water could cover the entire Earth if you spread it really thin. Not sure how that works unless you're talking about an individual layer, 1 molecule thick, but that's not water. That's just nothing.
Like you're literally separating the hydrogen and the oxygen from each other at that point from a chemical bond, and at that point, how's that water?
Yeah, can't drink that. I can't fish it out either. Look at the field. When you were a kid, the field of mathematics at the highest level, where you have people like Terry Tao, or just people who are, you know, trying to solve the unsolved questions in mathematics. Some of those questions have been solved since you were probably a kid back in the 1830s, you know, and you know, back then it was also just, you know, impressive not to die of polio at age 29.
Right.
But yeah, and if you look at versus today, mathematics at the elementary school level isn't going to change because it's basic addition. It's the fundamentals of mathematics. So there's not a reason for it to change. But at the highest level, it's changing all the time. So I don't know why, like he's saying that like what math is unchanging. Okay, well, there are other academic fields that do change. What's your point?
Yeah, never mind the fact you're trying to equivocate 1 + 1 = 2 with how did the Earth get to where it is right now in its current state. Like, I think one of those problems is a little bit more complex than the other one, but hey, you do you. Yes, we have a super chat. Please feel free to read that, AJ.
Oh, you can read it, Ayden.
Oh, okay. He said, I often listen to your videos while at work. I came across a clip of you joking, saying people come to the videos because of Kent, and that you add nothing. Just a reminder that we appreciate you, AJ.
You got to read the name and the amount, Ayden.
That's right. Well, Wayne donated $9.99. 1 cent shy of being 1/5 of the way to buying my DVD seminars, by the way, Wayne. I just want to point that out.
Thank you, Wayne. Well, thank you, Wayne. I will put this towards buying a set of Kent Hovind DVDs. Maybe.
Absolutely.
I think I have a better cause that I might put this money towards, but let's keep going.
Rather just give it to a random homeless people. I feel like it would impact the world more positively.
Series on the age of the Earth.
Positive.
Is that available on DVD? Is it a case yet? Okay. All right. So we show dozens of ways to show it cannot be billions of years old. If someone makes the wild claim the universe and Earth and universe are billions of years old, the burden of proof is on them to prove the claim. Basic logic would say one irrefutable scientific proof.
So the burden of proof is on them, Kent. The data that the scientific community has amassed about our Earth and about the properties of our Earth that we find around us is the things making the claims. All right? We are showing you the results of that data, but we're not just coming up with these claims. He's trying to put this on an equal footing with his own claims, which are, in fact, just whole cloth, conjured out of nothing but emotion and an appeal to it. Whereas our information is based off of actual data that is testable, repeatable, and in a scientific setting, consistent beyond reasonable doubt. So I don't understand how the burden is on us when you are the one trying to say, oh, well, we need to stop teaching these children all about this. We need to stop teaching this in schools. We need to start teaching something different, or we need to stop teaching this altogether. No, Kent, the burden of proof is on you. You don't want the burden of proof to be on you, because as soon as the burden of proof, as it always is, falls upon the religious person, they clam up and they're faced with the fundamental reality that there is no proof. There is no hardline evidence to support their claims. It's nothing but emotion and faith. So if that is enough to get you by as a human being, if that brings you comfort, then fine, fair enough. But don't try to act like that's some sort of substitute for reality, because it's not.
Yep. So we this comment said, can't say long. Did anyone can see Mandisa Thomas debate him? He couldn't even find an actual picture of her. I found it so rude. Yeah. I saw that debate. Me and Grayson and Mark Reed did a review of almost the whole debate, because it was very long, very thick, and it was a girthy debate as well. And she did a fantastic job. And the very first slide of his intro was a picture that was not of her. It was of another Black woman, but I guess Kent or whoever put the slides together either couldn't tell the difference, or did it on purpose, or simply didn't care enough to compare the picture in a slide 2 slides later that is of her and say, hey, these don't match up, but it can just, it just shows his level of caring about showing respect to his guests that he's debating, because these people have no respect for atheists. They just don't. That's why they can't engage with them. Or stay engaged. Fourth wife.
That was good. That was a good one. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, but we have McKinnon Mitchell.
Oh.
It said just popped in for the algorithm. Video was on mute for obvious reasons.
I didn't know we were that unbearable, McKinnon. I mean, come on, cut us a break.
Yeah.
No, but with that being said, let's
not be
keep going.
billions of years old.
Shout out
Would make their
McKinnon.
claim fall apart. If there were
Mitchell.
40 bits of evidence that George committed a crime,
Oh,
but there was one proof that he was not even in the country at the time of the crime, he's done. He walks free. So let's see.
Pause. Pausing.
Wyatt. David Reeves.
hey,
So, I'm sorry. I know. I'm just gonna say one real quick thing.
Okay.
It's not the same thing, Kent. All right. You don't have any definitive evidence to throw out any of this stuff. You will not, at any point in this video, give any kind of smoking gun evidence against the scientific community's models of how reality works. There you go. Thank you. Let's keep going.
look at this comment, though. You read this comment, Ayden.
Wayne said, "Can't spell Hovind without HIV." That
Hey, Ayden, you're going to be the designated comment reader for the rest of the stream. I'm
I'll keep that in
increasing
mind.
your duties as a co-host. I'm putting you to the test. All right.
Did a video and he debunked him. He said 6 years ago, genetically modified skeptic.
Why are you
Creationist
looking
Kent
at
Hovind
Hovind?
challenges me. I respond. Let me
Where
challenge
do you
you
show
again, Drew.
this?
Come, bring you and your wife. Come down, Dinosaur Adventureland. We'll put you in a cabin. We treat you real nice here.
They said we were going to put you in a cage.
We got one built just for Cindy, but then she went crazy and left for some reason. So yeah, you can have it.
Yeah, you'll get free room and board, and if you don't act out of line, I won't have to pull out the Kent of Nine Tails.
The Kent of Nine Tails.
And I'll debate you right here on my show.
Right here on my lap, just
There's
have
no
your
evidence
wife
for
sit right on my lap and
You
debate.
gave up the idea of a God.
I'll be
You
debating.
believe you came from a rock over billions of years.
As opposed to me, I think I came
How
from
different
magic
is
dirt.
Christianity
Yeah.
with science.
Crushed
You're
rock.
hanging around R and Ra. You've chosen some foolish company. I can tell you that right now.
No.
PragerU dismantled by an evolutionary psychologist. Oh, really? Okay.
That's not hard.
Drew, as I listened, it's obvious one of the main problems you had is this insistence about this question about starlight. How do we see the stars billions of light years away if the universe is only 6,000 years old?
You can't. It would be impossible. The light would be, you just wouldn't reach us,
We would
So-
only see a tiny, tiny subsection of the universe that we observe right now. The sky would be so much more bland and bleak and boring than it is right now. So let's hear his cockamamie explanation, I guess.
Yeah. I like the H. See on the slide?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was like, wait, what? Oh, okay, I see it now.
What is it? It's like, oh. It's like, oh, just, oh.
Now, keep in mind, Drew, if the universe is billions of years old, that still doesn't help your religion.
Not a religion, Kent. Get it through your head. It's not a religion.
Billions of years won't help evolution. It makes it worse because things fall apart, wear out.
Well, except for crystals that form naturally and increase their complexity in nature without any designer, or the patterns on a beach that are made by the waves slapping, and that has increased complexity with no designer, and snowflakes seem to form spontaneously with no designer.
Or the trillions of stars all around us that are literally giant nuclear fusion reactors that are just constantly making more and more complex elements all around us, let alone the supernovae and hypernovae that come from it.
Well, doesn't explain why an orangutan is related to Mariah Carey.
All those
You mean to
electrons
tell
got
me
going
that the
around-
space shuttle came from a rock? I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, like humans didn't come from a rock. We came out of Africa.
Not all those nucleuses. Don't they ever get tired?
You get
They've
it?
been whizzing around billions
I
of times in
did the
millions of a
wheeze.
second. Paul, did those electrons ever get tired?
Oh my
Don't they
God. Okay.
billions of-
This is why
don't they ever get
I do wish Leo was here for this one, but because I think he would probably have some type of aneurysm. But listen to this, Ayden. I want you to try and answer this question. Okay, are you prepared? I'm gonna let you feel
Ready.
this one. All right.
I'm ready. My body's ready.
those electrons that got
Wait.
the main, how do we see the stars? In mind, Drew, like if the universe is billions of years old, that still doesn't help your religion. Billions of years won't help evolution. It makes it worse because things fall apart, wear out. All those electrons that God made going around all those nucleuses, don't they ever get tired? They've been whizzing around billions of times in a millionth of a second for long. Paul, do those electrons ever get tired? Don't you?
They only get tired if they're tired. First of all, is such a asinine claim to make for something that isn't living. Like, it's such a weird thing to say. Like, how does a non-living thing get tired? But anyways, no, the only reason that it would be unstable in its chemical makeup would be if it was somehow a radioactive element. Like, that's the reason why radioactive elements have half-lives, is because if you take a piece of uranium and you leave it out for a few million years, eventually some of that uranium is going to turn into lead, because it's an unstable atomic chain that over time will release energy when it moves into a more stable state. Hence why nuclear reactors are a thing. We just kind of artificially speed along that process. But that's through nuclear fission, not nuclear fusion, which is completely different. But anyways, yeah, we are capable of harnessing those reactions. We understand those reactions sufficiently enough that we power entire cities based off of them. And we could destroy entire cities based off of them. So mankind has an understanding sufficient of these things that Kent, a supposedly educated man, should know that every single non-radioactive element does not have a half-life. It is stable in its chemical makeup. And that's why the most you'll see in terms of change like that is things like oxidization, which is fundamentally different in terms of a reaction than a nuclear one, a fissile reaction.
Yeah, it just, like, is he serious? Is this meant to be funny? I don't think it is. Also, the model of, electrons spinning around an atom is very outdated. That we know that that's not really what these structures look like on such a fundamental level, because it's more of just a probability cloud of electrons. It can be, that you need quantum mechanics to even try to understand like their position, and you can only understand the position or their velocity at one time. It's because of the uncertainty. And it just, this model is literally like what we taught fourth graders in the 90s, and Kent has just never learned that this is outdated, and there's no point. So no, they don't get tired because they're not like living organisms that function on energy where they have to eat food and replenish it.
Right, like they never have to go to bed. They never have a moment where they're like, oh man, I'm a really depressed uranium electron today. I don't really feel like going through a fission reaction. That's not how physics works. But we have a donation here. We have a super chat from Tubian323.
Okay.
Which says,
I want to say one thing. Okay.
No, go ahead.
They don't get tired, but because electrons have different energy levels, and when they, instead of getting tired and slowing down, what they do is they move to a different orbital. It's just a completely different thing than like, oh well, when I run around a track, I get tired. That must be what it's like on atoms for some reason. All right, go ahead, Ayden.
Oh, I was just gonna read this. And come to DAL and we'll put you in a cage with leather chaps and spank you like a dirty boy. Oh, okay. I got it. I read it in the wrong voice. I think I was meant to read it in Mr. Garrison's voice. All right. Come to DAL and we'll put you in a cage with leather chaps and spank you like a dirty boy, okay? Was that serviceable?
Well, I mean, technically, the MK is Mr. Mackey, I think, not Garrison.
Oh, no, you're right. No, you're right. I mixed it up.
But also, I think you failed to pronounce it spank. Although maybe
spank. I think I said spank just fine. Okay.
come to DAL and we'll put you in a cage with leather chaps and spank you like a little dirty boy, okay? Just a bad, okay?
Okay.
You shouldn't do drugs because it's just a bad, okay?
Ken Hovind is full of shit, okay?
Now, smoking pot feels really good, but you shouldn't do that because they're bad, okay? Just go weed at DAL. If you come to DAL, okay, wear a dark T-shirt over your swimsuits, ladies. Nobody wants to see your disgusting, sinful melons
Now I
swinging in
know.
the air.
Now look,
Waste
everybody.
water from the lake.
I know that there's some concerns that Mr. Slave is allowed to come around this children's themed theme park whenever he wants, all right?
Mr. Slave is welcome to come here anytime he wants.
That's right. Mr. Slave can come around here anytime that he wants, okay?
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, Ken. Thank you so much.
The DAL annual whore-off.
You think they'd slow down after a while? Wouldn't that change the element?
Thank you for the super chat.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
The Bible says he stretched out the heavens. 17 times it says that. And he hangeth the earth upon nothing.
Okay. If it said it 15 times, would that make it less true?
Right. Right. I've never understood like the constant reiteration of something. Like no matter how many times you reiterate a bad idea, it's still going to be bad.
Yeah. Ayden, you want to read this comment? It's not a super chat, but we
Yeah.
Deviant, friend.
Oh, we love Deviant, of course. Yeah, she says, "Hi, AJ and Ayden. Watching on the TV with Soot, but jumping in on the phone to do my friendly duty and tell the plebs to show some love, like and subscribe, or Kent's throat pussy will haunt your sex life, ladies and gentlemen." That is right. You think you're going to get a moment of reprieve from that horrible, disgusting, floppy mass haunting your dreams? I don't think so. You think Freddy Krueger is bad. The Nussie will come. It is unstoppable. It is a force of nature, and it is waiting. We've also got following up with that real nice donation. My goodness.
Oh, always.
A1
Yeah, he always does. Yeah.
Sorry.
A1 Chiefs fan 11.
That's
Yeah,
right.
go ahead.
A1 Chiefs fan 11, which you can read if you want.
No, I want you to read an Ayden.
All right. Said, "Hello, AJ. Notice Hovind rejects any real scientific evidence, yet believes in giants, Loch Ness Monster, and any outrageously stupid anti-government conspiracy theories some crazy put online.
Yep.
He lacks critical reasoning skills." And that's very true. That's very true. I mean, he is somebody who, if you really put any kind of alternative idea forward towards Kent Hovind, he'll be far more willing to listen to you than if you claim to have represented the establishment. And, if he was honest in that receptiveness, right? Like if he was willing to apply that both to that and to the establishment, maybe I could have some respect for that. But I mean, even then you get to the point where, as Richard Dawkins says, your brain is you're so open-minded that your head falls out of it, kind of thing. So your head is so open-minded that your brain falls out of it. See, it's happening to me right now in real time.
Okay, we've just got a lot of good comments today, so I'm going to make you read some more, Ayden, okay?
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I'm glad to hear that we got good comments coming in from people.
Okay.
We got Stacy C, which says, "Kent gets a Lemmy Winks. Oh, a Lemmy Winks bite. I got you."
Okay. That was one.
And then they don't call it a whore off. It's a Christian place. They call it a hoedown.
Dude.
That's actually really good. That's really fucking good. I gotta give you credit.
This is what I was saying about. This is why I've tried to take care of the community I have, because I love the side chat is so much fun to read. You guys make these streams so much fun to do. So thank you, and thank you, Chiefs fan, for the super chat. He's always been giving really generous super chats, like $20, and then you have people like not to toot my own Hovind, but the debate review we did the other day. Got like $85 in super chats. So like, thank you guys so much. Okay, one more, Ayden,
Posy.
and that's Posy. This is from Garrett. Have you ever heard of this person?
Gay rat. No, I don't think I've heard of this gay rat character. I mean,
Uh,
I support him. I mean, LGBT. I support anybody, whether you're rat or human. So thank you for your comment, gay rat.
LGBT, lettuce, guacamole, bacon, tomato, Garrett. I'm gonna have to time you out. We don't talk about posies here. Okay. And you know, mind your language. This is a Christian video we're watching.
You flat earthers that think there's an ice wall and we're supported on pillars on the back of a turtle, knock it off, okay? He hangs the earth on nothing.
Oh, fine. Are we finally getting into
Thou art Lord alone. Thou hast made heaven, the heaven of heavens. So the Bible clearly claims God made it. All right. Astronomers have observed that about every 30 years, a star dies and explodes into a supernova. If the universe is billions of years old, how come there are less than 300 supernovas that have been observed?
Posy.
It's only 9,000.
So that's not true. That's 300 observed within the Milky Way galaxy. That's one of many tens of trillions of galaxies that are out there in the observable universe. Like, we've observed tens of thousands of supernovae. Yes, you have to go on a macroscopic scale in order to observe them on that scale, sure. But the reason why is because supernovae are not an extremely common occurrence. Stars are very long-lasting objects in our universe. You know, even at the very shortest end of things, when you have things like a type A or a type O supergiant on the main stellar nuclear sequence, those things are still going to last upwards of millions of years. I think the shortest lived one is about 2 or 3 million years old, and that was like the largest type A that we've ever observed is what we've estimated its age at. So yeah, when you get larger as a star, you don't last as long, but the amount that you last relative to a human lifetime is still absolutely massive. Now, Kent takes advantage of that, because Kent's way of looking at things almost seems to be, well, you have to actually see every single step of the stellar main nuclear sequence take place. You have to see the nebula come together, and you have to see all the little gases form into the star, and you have to see the star, form up, and then you have to see the star go through its red supergiant phase, and then it explodes, or it goes and turns into a white dwarf, and that's the only way you'll know if it's science. No, it's not, Kent. We have plenty of observations of every single stage of that sequence, and we've correlated them together so accurately that we can predict several aspects of a star's behavior using things like stellar spectroscopy. So, with that being said, I mean, like, what more is really required is what I was about to say. But once again, you have to spend 10 minutes refuting something that takes him like 30 seconds to say.
Yeah. So it says, if the universe is billions of years old, how come there are less than 300 supernova? And I'm just thinking, okay, so if they're, and I don't, this is from ICR, I don't trust their figures, but Kent, do you think that these 300 supernova that have been detected by telescopes are the only ones that have ever happened? You don't think there are ones that maybe happened before we had telescopes or before the Earth existed? Like, no, it only counts if human beings were there to observe it. That's why, if a human can't see a mountain form, that's because mountains don't form.
Yeah, like we have ones observed by John Flamsteed in 1680. We have one observed in 1604 by Johannes Kepler. And one of the more famous examples we have of supernovae that were, and all three that I'm mentioning here are not supernovae observed through telescopes. These are literally observable through the naked eye. Just in the brief amount of time that we've had recorded history relative to the age of our universe, there are three examples, the most famous of which actually occurred during the Song Dynasty in China in the 11th century AD. We actually can directly correlate where they saw that supernova take place with the Crab Nebula that we see right nowadays If you could look it up, the Crab Nebula is a nebula that is formed very, very recently. You would almost say about 1,000 years ago. Crazy how that works. So I believe it's about 8 times in our recorded history we've observed supernovae with the naked eye. So even though it is a comparatively rare phenomenon, that doesn't mean that it's something that we're not capable of seeing all the time, relatively speaking. I mean, Betelgeuse is the one that's next up as far as most estimates are concerned. Betelgeuse is a star that's right at the end of its lifetime. If it hasn't already gone supernova, then it will any day now as far as scientists are concerned, and it's about 600 light years away from us. So even if it did, like let's say that it went supernova right when the Revolutionary War was happening in 1776, we still wouldn't know. And will not know for the rest of our lives whether or not that took place, because that's how big of a time or how big of a distance we're talking about interstellarly.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that I was right. So we have Mr. Logo saying that electrons aren't spinning around an atom; they would radiate energy. We have the orbital model today. So in your face, Kent. All right.
Years worth. There should be hundreds of millions of them. Are the stars wrong, or is the evolution theory wrong?
It's actually
On
you
average,
that's wrong.
Right.
Supernova will occur about every 50 years in a galaxy the size of the Milky Way. This from space.com, Drew. Is that
Correct.
peer-reviewed enough for you?
No, that's a website. So.
Well, yeah, no.
Scientific papers are peer-reviewed, not pop science websites.
No, they got that information probably from a scientific paper, but him saying that is nothing short of just trying to make a snide remark for the sake of it. And
it doesn't make any sense.
And you know what the funny thing is that people who will watch our video, there'll be some Kent Hovind supporters that'll watch us and they'll go, "Oh, you're just making fun of him. You're not even addressing any of his main points." The untruth of that aside, look at what their idol does rather than actually addressing the point at hand. He needs to get his little barb in about, is that peer reviewed enough for you?
Yeah, and more next I want queer review. They got Atheist Junior to take a look.
100% queer reviewed, huh, AJ?
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Space.com. You like peer review. Was that good, Drew? Should be one every 50 years.
You're all nice.
How often do stars explode in the universe? Are there so many stars that there are millions exploding all the time? Well, there are probably about 1,000 supernovas every second.
Not that we can directly observe.
Yeah.
Given the Hubble telescope has detected some 150 billion galaxies, this means that on average 30 billion supernova explosions occur in visible galaxies every year.
No.
That brings the average to 1,000 supernova explosions every second.
No.
Whoa.
Not in the visible universe that we can see. Pause. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a total lie. Maybe in the totality of our universe, that figure might be true.
Well, I would say it's most likely true, just because I feel like there's just no. I can't think of any way to fathom how big the universe is outside the observable universe. So as far as I'm concerned, it might as well be infinite, because no human ship could ever hope to travel far enough to catch up to the expansion of it. So it's expanding fast enough that it technically might as well be infinite. And if you look, I mean, the amount of stars, galaxies, and planets in our own observable universe, our own galaxy, I would say that it's definitely, it's at least that many. You know what I mean? Just based on the probability of how big the universe likely is.
Well, what Kent is saying here is he's basically conflating someone's estimation of how many we could see theoretically if we somehow did just have this telescope that could literally pull back the veil of everything in our universe. If it somehow could circumvent the hard light barrier at the edge of our observable universe and just see literally everything, then that's probably how many we might be able to observe. And he's conflating that with, well, why don't we see that many? Because, Kent, we are in such an early stage as a species of actually trying to find out what these things are and what they mean, and building technology specifically to accomplish those goals. I mean, I can't imagine, I can't even begin to fathom 100, 200, 300 years from now if we are still putting even just as much dedication to it as we are now, let alone more, towards space exploration, what we'll be capable of doing. So just because right now we're not capable of observing that doesn't mean that just doesn't happen at all. It's like the Fermi paradox. I've heard so many creationists say, well, if there's aliens out there and the universe is so big, why haven't we seen them yet? Because for one, we just started looking, relatively speaking. I mean, SETI, the search for extraterrestrial life, is something that's only been around for about 100 years, less than 100 years, actually. And we've only had the technology through radio astronomy to really be able to look outside of our solar system for other signals for even less time than SETI began. So it's literally the equivalent of saying, going to Africa, saying, I'm going to look for lions, getting off the boat on the coast of Africa, taking a couple of steps on the shore, looking around, seeing that there's nothing in your direct vicinity, and then just getting back on the boat and saying, yeah, I guess there's no lions in Africa. Well, you barely looked. So how do you know?
Yeah, and then you have the Fermi paradox, which is pretty, I think, solid evidence for why we don't see alien life. And it's like people they think of the word alien and they expect something from a movie like Mars Attacks.
He would be able to communicate with them. He is nasally enough that he would just be able to affect their language, no problem.
Yeah, we're taking over dinosaur adventure.
They're trying to take over the minute. He'd grab one of their guns out of their hands. Not on my day, bitch. He just starts shooting.
Vaporize the whole audience in Kent's room, like.
They're coming out of the walls, damn it!
And then they have the little dog, the little chihuahua with the Sandra's head on it.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on. We're 12 minutes into the.
I'm just letting you know, audience, if you give us like Kubrick money, we'll make that happen as a movie. I'm just putting that out there, like $5-10 million, and we'll make that happen. Just saying.
Ayden, we're 12 minutes into a 51-minute video.
We're trying to raise money for the movie, AJ.
Okay. With an adult movie?
Supernova has been observed in the Milky Way since 1604. It
1604.
appears that a supernova exploded in Cassiopeia 300 years ago.
Cassiopeia.
Astronomers reckon there have only been 3 or 4 completely reliable observations.
Cassiopeia? It's kind of like tapioca.
How many supernovas have been observed so far? 3 or 4?
No,
well,
that's not
our
true.
Galaxy. This guy studied it.
No, pause.
It's got to be true.
Pause. 3 or 4 is not true. There's 8 that have been observed with the naked eye over the course of our history. All right, there has been 300 that have been observed in our galaxy, and there have been over 10,000 that we have observed in the universe at large. And yeah, 10,000 on a universal scale ain't all that big. But if you actually look into the history behind looking for supernovae, it's not just this intuitive thing, okay? You don't just look for a giant explosion like you would expect in a movie when you're talking about distances as far away as Andromeda, let alone other galaxies outside of our local group, which is where the majority of these supernovae we observe are taking place. You have to look for objects that are in our night sky are a tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of a single degree worth of actual breadth of vision. So, yeah, we're not going to observe a lot of them with the technology that we have right now. That doesn't mean that we never will.
Okay, Ayden, can you please read this comment?
I do wonder if Kent thinks gay, bi, and trans are the same thing. Or he just takes shots at AJ thinking he's a girl because Kent thinks it will bother him. What do you think about that, AJ?
Well, it's a pretty good argument because there's nothing worse than a woman. Don't I always say women? You can't live with them.
And then he said in the chat, Kent attacks. I like that one.
Yeah, Kent attacks. I don't know what it is with Kent. I mean, the simple answer is that he is just homophobic. I don't think he actually understands the concept of being bisexual. I think he probably has a very poor understanding of what trans people are. It's like, so it's like a tranny in my engine. Yeah, you want me to blow a tranny?
It's got a slightly different meaning than it did before, Hovind.
Yeah, words never change their meaning. I have gay clothing.
They don't change their meaning when we're talking about science, though. Then we gotta look at a dictionary that's as old as my great-grandpappy.
Yeah, he takes shots at me just because he is very annoyed by the fact that my channel, which he admitted debunks him. I mean, I think he misspoke, but it's still funny that he said that, oh, people only watch you because you debunk me. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Kent seems to he cannot deny the fact that my channel has been successful. Like I'm creeping up on almost 9,000 subscribers, and while his channels have routinely been deleted, and he's had to start over, and then I think start over again, and his view counts are like either I'd say equal to mine or like not as good, and I think it just makes him mad that I'm taking his content and watching it and adding my commentary, and yet Kent seems to want to take credit for the success of my channel, even though, like, in his view, people are watching him because, oh, when you put Kent Hovind in the title of the video, they'll watch it. It's like, well, Kent, I try to play the entire video if I can, or most of it, when I do these streams. If people only cared about seeing you, they could just, I put the link to the original video in the description. They could just go watch the original video on your channel, and they wouldn't have to hear the lib cuck pausing too often and making the funny voices and attacking Kent Hovind. I'm attacking Kent Hovind.
Well, if they literally just wanted to watch for the sake of Kent Hovind, if he was the only draw, then your channel would have no views and Kent Hovind would have your entire audience, because why would they need to watch our commentary over Kent Hovind if he's the main draw? Obviously, these people in this audience appreciate the fact that AJ adds his own unique commentary on top of this and has spent a long time refining a specific craft and making fun of him that a large audience of people obviously seems to appreciate.
Oh, that was good. Thank you, Ayden. All right, let's keep going.
I mean, if he studied at King's College, hey, I walked onto the Harvard campus a couple times.
No, you didn't.
What's that give me? I walked on Berkeley campus a couple times, didn't I? Yeah. Are the stars we see in the sky actually dead? For the most part, the stars you see with the naked eye, that is without a telescope, are still alive. These stars are usually no more than 10,000 light years away, so the light we see left them 10,000 years ago.
The ones we could see
Most
with the
stars
naked
will live
eye.
somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 billion years. Wait. If stars,
naked eye, brown eye, what's the difference?
Well, not only that, but just a distinction on that. The only real way that you could see stars on huge distances, cosmologically speaking, is when they're in groups, like the Andromeda Galaxy. We could see that as like a faint smudge on the sky. It's not something that's extremely visible to most people in the naked eye, but it is still visible. And those are stars that are 2 million light years away, which is a little bit further than 10,000 last I checked. But then again, Kent taught math for how many years? I'll have to ask him.
Ayden, please read this comment.
AJ is bi. That means he only likes men, right? That's true. That's true. I have asked Kent, and every time I've asked him, that is what he has told me. Therefore, it must be true.
I want you to relate the comment to Lupin, though.
You want me to dance, monkey, dance? All right, I'll do it. All right. So, I just want to say that AJ over here, he says he's bi, but in reality, the only thing he is bye-bye whenever he sees some guy walking by. You know what I'm saying, Lupin? So what happens when you put me on the spot, AJ?
I'm sorry. It's like, I don't know, being gay is pretty gay to be gay, and clearly it's clear you're gay. I mean, there's like nothing gayer than being in a heterosexual relationship.
It's only live 1 billion years. And Drew, you got taught that the universe is 13.8 billion years old.
Right?
There have been whole new galaxies 13 times, almost 14 times.
That'll be fun to break the news to Lupin.
Whole bunch of stars have to be forming.
If I ever want to talk to him again.
Let's see. This guy studied. He's an expert from Cornell University. We better believe him.
Oh, that's what you say. I'm right and they're wrong because I'm Kent Hovind. Well, is it better because you went to Patriot Bible College? Like, you literally say that all of the experts are wrong in the relevant fields and I'm right and people should listen to me. And that's why, I was so satisfying in my last debate when I basically Kent tried to pull this and I just told him, like, no, you're not, because your degrees are fake, Kent.
Yeah, like there's literally a dorm area in the area that you supposedly got your degree from nowadays because it's defunct. So, I mean,
Yeah, it's like a trailer. Patriot Bible trailer.
the funny thing is for as long as Kent has been making these claims for, right, which is upwards of 20 years at this point, like maybe 30 years that he's been, I guess it's been 30 years he's been claiming doctor, hasn't he? So he legitimately could have got like a legit doctorate 3 times over. And all of this time that he's been trying to peddle this fake diploma mill garbage in people's faces, he could have gotten an actual legitimate doctorate 3 times over, but he doesn't want to because that would take actual work. And he doesn't want to do that. He wants to take the easiest path possible to fool as many people possible with as lazy and as derivative of arguments as possible.
Yeah, not hearing. Yeah, I won't say it, but okay, I'll read this one. So from Mirror Mirror, it says, "What will it say on your tombstone? Here lies AJ. He debunked Christians. LOL. Who cares? Kent is killing it and living the dream." Oh, is this a pro Kent comment? Well, I was gonna say, the yes, except you include the LOL in the tombstone. So it says, "Here lies AJ. He debunked Christians. Lol." That's much better.
Yeah, that's actually a much better tombstone.
Yeah.
Also, like, you want to talk about legacy? I promise you that AJ's legacy won't include any spousal abuse. I promise you AJ's legacy won't include any tax evasion. I promise you AJ's legacy won't include the desiccated corpse of a theme park in Pensacola, Florida that he still mentions for some reason out of some weird pride that he wants to retain memories of an old past that really would be better sweeping under the rug. I don't think any of that's going to follow AJ to the grave. So if you want to talk about legacy, maybe talk about that.
Yeah. I actually respect women. Oh, burn him. He's a witch. Make him bite the curb.
Bow down. Oscar Shanaha Toyota Kawasaki.
Is that racist, Ken?
There's no question. There's a lot of stuff. Bow down. Oscar Shanaha Toyota Kawasaki. Okay. There's no question. There's a lot of stars on
yeah, that was
folks
really
that are
funny.
visiting should go up tonight on the sand dune. And if it's clear, watch the stars. It'll blow your mind. Lennox just got electricity a couple of weeks ago, and
What?
most of the folks don't know how to hook it up yet. So
Is
it's
that
dark
a
out
joke?
here.
Or is he joking? Is that supposed
If
to
stars evolve,
I can't
star
tell.
births,
I
should
cannot
equal
tell.
star deaths. Novas and supernovas are star
We
deaths.
just discovered electricity.
These have been observed.
You're banging two rocks.
What's the
So-
evidence for star birth?
Pause.
Estimates are
Oh yeah, I wanted to tackle this one.
Yeah, so is star evidence. Star births should equal star deaths. How does a star birth inherently equate a star's death, Kent?
Like,
Because
this is
when
what you apply to human populations.
Right. And when a star has finished its life cycle, even like a G-type star, like the one that we orbit right now, it's a real G thing. When it's at the end of its life cycle, after it reaches its red giant phase and becomes a white dwarf, all of its materials that it's expended into space, yeah, there's going to be some leftover hydrogen and helium, but the vast majority of that will be fused into heavier elements that stars won't be able to use anywhere nearly as long as they would be able to use their hydrogen and helium, because once you burn through your hydrogen and helium supply, you only have a few other elements like neon and oxygen and other compounds like that before you get up to iron, and you're not able to fuse anymore.
Yeah. And even Kent, he has that and one of his slides it says, oh, well, you can't fuse past iron. How do you get the elements past that? Well, yeah, it's
The thing that you're bringing up right now, Kent, that's how you get things heavier than iron. You get stars that fucking blow up and 2 stars that crash together and then blow up. And yeah, those things tend to produce really heavy elements because that's a lot of mass smacking into a lot of other mass.
Yeah. Ayden, how is it that we've been going for an hour and a half already?
I don't know. I'll be quiet.
No, I'm just surprised that the time flies.
I know. No, it really does, because I was like an hour 24 and I looked and I saw that same thing. I was like, oh my God, I'm dragging this video on for so long. I need to be quiet.
It's fine because, you know, I care more about like the video being funny and making fun of Kent rather than actually getting through his tired script all the way. Like, it doesn't matter. I have other videos where I'm sure I've answered the second half of this, and there are lots of, you know, it's Kent if his scripts and his PowerPoint like presentations were so long-winded and he wasn't constantly asking the same questions over and over again, then they would be easier to get through. But and if he didn't like, you know, have such a like amount of bullshit, you know, per second spewing from his mouth,
Yeah.
like a MG249, I think. Did I get that right?
MG42, you almost got it.
242. Machine gun, machine Hovind, spewing BS from the, you know, BS, PG, WB, BW, bedwetter, Lupin, pool pisser, lore. AL, Adam Lore, AL, anal. I think we're gonna wrap this.
Where's the harmonica?
Oh shit. Okay.
There we go. You have to finish that out with the harmonica. I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt.
Okay. We'll watch a little bit more. We made 15 minutes in an hour and a half. In an hour and a half of time, we watched 15 minutes of this video. I blame myself.
Yes, these have been observed.
Oh, do you mind reading this comment, Ayden?
Oh yeah, for sure. Women are bad. The only thing they've done for me is got my kitchen floor retile. That's true.
I'm wondering if that a reference to Kent saying, "Oh, come to Dinosaur Adventureland and look at the broken tile where City hit the ground." Yeah, and then from Deviant, it says, "Damn right about women. Who needs them, right? Just, you know, give all your women to me." And it says, "Yeah, all your women belong to us."
Harmonic Hovind.
Harmonic Hovind.
That's right.
Rolls right off the lore.
Here's the
Hovmonica.
evidence for star birth. Estimates are there are 70 sextillion stars in the universe that we can see. Nobody knows how many are there we can't see, okay? And if the universe is 13.77 billion years old, there should be 5 trillion stars forming every year. That should be about 10 million stars forming every
By
minute.
what principle?
There's enough stars that everybody in the universe,
They can form concurrently. They don't have to form one at a time in a row. They can form at the same time.
Right, like there's no queue that they have to go to where it's like, oh man, I can't believe that this other star cut me in line to become a star. I'm just going to be a nebula for the next 23,000 years. No, they're all over the place. The universe is a big place, as I'm sure you would agree, Ken. But even with it being as big as it is, it's got plenty of room. Plenty of room.
Yeah, plenty of leg room for my my leg day.
And Earth can own 11 trillion of them to yourself.
Oh,
Life and death
I'm
of
right.
stars.
It is.
If stars evolve, star births should equal star deaths. Novas and supernovas are star deaths. These have been observed. Where's the evidence for their birth? Nobody sees stars forming.
Yes, we do. We see stars in different stages of growth. I don't know what else you could. What else would you accept as evidence? Do you want to see some sort of womb that a star is coming out of? Because you're not going to find that.
Right, right. And not only that, but what he's saying here is dishonest because he's lying by omission.
Is he saying it?
Oh, obviously, positively. But Kent is lying by omission here because, in the visible light spectrum, you can't look into a nebula and see a star forming. That's correct. But there's other mediums of light that we can look at, like infrared. And guess what? We just built a telescope that's by far the best ever infrared piece of equipment that the human race has ever put together, and it looks at stars forming in nebulae all the time. Because it's not just infrared. There's also X-ray. There's also radio astronomy that can show us some insights into these. Like, there's a variety of different ways that you can look at something in space without just looking at the visible light spectrum. That's such a small portion of the universe around us. It's such a narrow amount of the actual spectrum of different kinds of radiation.
Can you do this one, Ayden?
According to the movie,
No, that's Hovind voice.
well, no, I was gonna put an editorial on it, but that's all right.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. According to the movie A Star Is Born, stars are born.
Dude,
I read it in a magazine somewhere. I think it was The Sun. So I think it's gotta be true.
I'm sorry for stifling your creativity, Ayden.
That's all right. It's all right.
Okay, I'm getting bored of this stream, and I'm getting tired and cranky, and there's people waiting on me to take them to the Boy Scout meeting, although I'm not wearing pants. So, okay.
I've kept you captive long enough, AJ. I understand. Don't worry.
Yeah, this, the rest of I mean, he doesn't if he showed a single second of content from genetically modified skeptic on this video, I would be showing that. But and we showed all the stuff that was about him, you know what I mean? And then shout out to him. He's a great channel, you know what I mean? I would recommend anybody subscribe to them if they enjoy atheist content, and I think it's a no-brainer. And his videos in Israel are really cool. Those are really well done. But Kent he just showed thumbnails of his videos, and it's like, is there a reason that do you not feel comfortable showing this content? Like, I mean, you should be showing it and debunking it, right? Because although I will say that the exchange between them that he shows the thumbnail of, like, that is a much better exchange, because at least, well, it's good because of Drew's video, which is fantastic. That's why it has over 1 million views. But at least in Kent's original video, he's actually playing content from the person and responding to it, which I thought that's what the Whack an Atheist series is supposed to be about. You pick an atheist, and then you present their views instead of just reading off their bio like he did for, the last debates. He did that for me, and it's like he looks up people's bios, just Googling and trying to find the first thing he can, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna give this person's bio instead of Mandisa. I was drawing a blank on her name. He did that with Mandisa, where he does a whole introduction of her entire career, even though he gets the wrong images. And it's
just disrespectful. I mean, ultimately it shows no candor on his part towards the people that he's supposedly supposed to be engaging on an equal level. And I mean, honestly, if I was Kent's supporters, I would look at somebody like that who treats his opponents with so little respect and really just ask why. Why does he feel the need to look down upon them as much as he does? We can sit here and make fun and poke fun of Ken all we want in a playful way, but that's fundamentally different than sitting down across from somebody in a room in person, actually trying to have a dialogue with them, and you can't even find a picture of them to be able to pull up as reference. I mean,
it's like you could ask that person, like, hey, do you have Mandisa seems like the type of person who does so many public appearances. It's likely that they have headshots of them that they would give out to people, because that's the kind of thing that public figures do, because they're always having these type of situations where you need an image to display. But Kent, he says oh, it was the first. It's funny because he says, oh, it's the first thing that came up, but on my stream, Mandisa, she Googled her name, and it wasn't the first image that came up. And I don't know if he went to Facebook and tried that, but I know that for me that because I'm pretty sure he just Googles people's names and then just whatever the first link is. That's why whenever you see Kent showing something that's not from his slide, but he's like, I downloaded this today from the internet. It's always him reading the description of a Google link, but never clicking on the actual article, which is just.
Well, you're meant to take Kent's word for it, right?
Yeah. Well, he is the expert, and an X is a has-been, a spurt is a drip under pressure.
I mean, ultimately, I just think of it as it's less time if he clicks on one of his videos and watches his videos, or if he looks at the article and actually reviews the article, that's less time spent on Hovind. So why would he want to divert time and attention away from him when he needs to show that he's so smart to these people by reading the same script for the umpteenth fucking time?
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for us. Like the video. Leave a comment telling me what you thought of the stream, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I also have a Patreon page where you can support my channel, monthly donations, and Twitter. So both of them are just like Patreon and Twitter, like /atheistjr. And then I also have channel memberships where if you join those, you get to use the Pepe emojis in the chat, which I love using those because, I think any live stream chat is basically required to have Pepes, because I do not think that the white nationalist right wing should be able to co-opt Pepe. We need to take him back.
He's not yours, alt-right. Pepe is for everyone.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we will leave everybody off with that positive messaging. Pepe, ladies and gentlemen, is for everyone. Have a good night. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.